Welcome back to Soul Stories. Wishing you a joyful and happy new day. I've been under the weather the past 3 days, so I haven't been able to post stories as regularly. Thank you for your understanding. Today we're bringing you a romantic love story with just the right touch of humor. Let's dive in, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Chapter 1. Waking up in a strange place. Lana opened her eyes, her head pounding like a drum. Morning light pierced through the sheer curtains, shining straight into her face like it was mocking her. She winced and mumbled, "I swear I'll never drink again. At least not this week." But then she realized something even worse than the headache. This wasn't her room. The unfamiliarity of the room was downright alarming. A large bed, crisp white linens like a 5-star hotel, and the faint scent of wood from the luxurious furniture. Lana shot upright, clutching her head, trying to piece together what on earth had happened last night. The farewell party for her old colleague. Wine. Someone suggested playing one shot, one secret, and then blank. Her memory was like a film reel that had been cut off. "Did I get kidnapped?" Lana muttered to herself, heart thudding. She glanced around looking for clues. No ropes, no duct tape over her mouth, but also no purse or phone in sight. Just then, the sound of running water came from the bathroom, along with a soft humming, a man's voice. Panic hit her for real. She leapt off the bed, bare feet hitting the cold floor, eyes scanning the room for a weapon. A paring knife on the small dining table nearby was the only option. She grabbed it tightly, holding it up like an amateur swordsman, her heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst out of her chest. "If I'm gonna die today, I'm taking the kidnapper with me." The bathroom door swung open. A tall man stepped out, dark hair still wet, a towel wrapped loosely around his waist. He stopped, looking at Lana with an expression that showed zero surprise. If anything, he looked bored. "What exactly are you planning to do with that knife?" he asked, his deep voice as calm as if he were asking about the weather. Lana pointed the knife at him, trembling. "Don't come any closer! Who are you? Where am I? What did you do to me last night?" The man raised an eyebrow, folding his arms across his chest. A move that only highlighted his muscles, which made Lana even more nervous. "Calm down. I'm the one who pulled you off the floor of a public restroom after you got drunk and sang happy birthday to yourself, and this is my apartment." Lana blinked, trying to process that. Restroom floor? Singing happy birthday? She couldn't remember a thing, but the deadpan way he said it made her feel both embarrassed and furious. "Then why am I here? You were planning to take advantage of me, weren't you?" He sighed and walked past her like she was invisible, heading to the closet. "If I wanted to take advantage of you, I wouldn't have let you sleep in the bed while I slept on the floor. You're heavier than I expected, and I don't enjoy back pain." Lana's jaw dropped, the knife slowly lowering in her hand. "Slept on the floor? You didn't sleep with me." She looked back at the bed and realized only one side of the covers was disturbed, her side. "No," he replied curtly, pulling a white dress shirt from the closet and putting it on with swift, practiced motions. "You even threw up on my shirt, so if anyone's the victim here, it's me." Lana's face flushed bright red. She wanted to dig a hole and bury herself, but she tried to keep a brave face. "Then why didn't you take me home? Or at least call a cab?" "Because you kept yelling that, 'The world is my home,' and clung to my leg like a koala," he said, buttoning up his shirt before turning back to look at her. "Also, your phone was dead and your purse got left somewhere at the bar. I'm not a detective. I wasn't about to go searching for your stuff at midnight." Lana was speechless. Every sentence he said was a punch to her pride. But then she noticed something more important. He was now fully dressed in office attire, a sharp black suit, like he was getting ready for work. "Wait, who are you anyway? And why were you even kind enough to help me?" He paused, giving her a look that was hard to read. "My name's Anthony, and as for why I helped you, let's just say I don't like seeing people die of alcohol poisoning on the street." He picked up a cup of coffee from the table, took a sip, and added, "Now you should go. I have a meeting at 9. Lana nodded slowly, still dazed but at least relieved nothing terrible had happened. She placed the knife down and mumbled, "Thanks, I guess. I'll be out of your way." She rummaged around for her shoes, trying hard to avoid Anthony's gaze. He was still standing there, watching her with a completely unreadable expression. Just as she was about to open the door to leave, Anthony called out, "You forgot this." He tossed her a jacket, her own soaked in the smell of booze. "Don't let me see you in that state again." Lana gave a sheepish smile, hugged the jacket, and bolted. She swore to herself that she'd never see that arrogant guy again. But life had other plans. Chapter 2. That man is my new boss? After that horrific morning at Anthony's house, Lana decided to start over. She stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom of her new company, fixing her messy hair, smoothing out her office skirt, and muttering to herself, "Lana, you're a promising communications expert, not some drunk idiot clinging to a stranger's leg. Today is a new day. Be professional." She took a deep breath, telling herself she'd wipe every memory of that arrogant man named Anthony from her mind. From now on, she'd focus solely on work. Work at Spark Vibe, the renowned advertising agency she just joined. Lana walked into the meeting room with a confident smile, holding a coffee cup like it was a lucky charm. Her new colleagues greeted her warmly, and the atmosphere buzzed with chatter about the upcoming project. She sat down, opened her laptop, ready to take notes on everything to prove she wasn't someone to be trifled with. "I'll do great," she told herself. "No one can overshadow Lana Tran." The meeting room door swung open. A middle-aged woman, the HR director, stepped in with a serious expression, but couldn't hide her excitement. "Everyone, I'm thrilled to introduce our new boss today, the person who will lead Spark Vibe to new heights. Please welcome Anthony Black, our executive director." Applause erupted enthusiastically. Lana clapped along, but the smile on her lips froze when Anthony walked in. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit, his hair neatly combed, his sharp, cold gaze sweeping the room like a general inspecting troops. That's right, it was him, the man who, just this morning, stood in his kitchen with a coffee cup, mocking her mercilessly. Lana nearly dropped her coffee. Her heart pounded, her face burning as if someone had splashed her with boiling water. "No way," she mumbled, her trembling hands setting the cup on the table. Anthony Black, the man who'd seen her at her absolute worst, was now her boss. Her life was officially over. Anthony stopped in front of the meeting table and began a short but commanding speech. "I want Spark Vibe to be more than just an advertising company. I want it to be a trendsetter. I expect everyone to work with discipline, focus, and maximum efficiency. There's no room for sloppiness here." His voice was deep, cold, devoid of emotion, exactly the type of person Lana hated most in the world. But then his eyes slid over to Lana. It was just a second, but she swore the corner of his mouth twitched upward, a clear, mocking smirk meant just for her. Lana ducked her head to the table, pretending to take notes while her mind spun wildly. "He knows me. I'm done for. He's definitely going to use last night to crush my career." The meeting shifted to team introductions. When it was Lana's turn, she stood up, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm Lana Tran, creative specialist. I have 5 years of experience in communications and look forward to contributing to Spark Vibe." She finished with a professional smile, but Anthony spoke up right after. "Lana Tran," he repeated her name, his tone even but laced with implication. "I hope you'll bring that creative spirit to your work and know how to control yourself when necessary." The room chuckled softly while Lana wanted to sink through the floor. He was hinting at last night. There was no doubt about it. Things only got worse when they started discussing the first project, a campaign for a high-end fashion brand. Lana, with her free-spirited creativity, pitched her idea. "I think we should do a short video, street style, approachable yet luxurious. Maybe add a surprise element, like a model emerging from a crowd with the new collection." Anthony frowned, cutting in without hesitation. "That idea lacks focus. We're promoting high-end fashion, not market goods. I need a clear plan with data to back it up, not random inspiration." Lana bit her lip, trying to stay calm. "But young customers today love breakthroughs. If we're too rigid, we'll lose the freshness Spark Vibe prides itself on." "Breakthrough doesn't mean lack of discipline," Anthony shot back, his voice icy. Do you have any data proving this crowd will buy? Or are you just going by gut feeling? They locked eyes, neither backing down. Colleagues around them started glancing nervously, the meeting room tense as a taut string. Finally, the HR director stepped in. You both have a point. Why not combine Lana's idea with Anthony's practical approach? This project needs both of you. Lana nodded reluctantly, but inside she wanted to scream. I'd rather work with a pig than this guy. Anthony said nothing, just jotted something in his notebook, his face as calm as if nothing had happened. After the meeting, Lana bolted to the bathroom, looked at herself in the mirror and whispered, You've got to survive this, Lana. Don't let that guy win. But she didn't know that Anthony, passing by the hallway, muttered to himself, She's a real troublemaker, but more interesting than I thought. Their silent battle had only just begun. Chapter 3. The conflict begins. After that tense first meeting, Lana told herself she wouldn't let Anthony Black shake her resolve. She'd spent the whole night perfecting the communications plan for the fashion campaign, adding data, researching trends, and even creating a colorful mood board to prove her luxurious street-style idea was completely feasible. This time he'll have to shut up, she muttered, typing away while sipping her third coffee. The next morning, Lana strode into the meeting room radiating confidence. She presented her plan to the team, her voice brimming with passion. We'll shoot the video on a bustling street, with the main model stepping out from the crowd with the new collection. Surprising yet relatable. I checked, 65% of our target customers are under 30, and they love creativity and don't want to be boxed in by rigid ads. Colleagues nodded, some even clapping in encouragement. Lana glanced at Anthony, awaiting his reaction. He sat there holding the plan she'd sent last night, flipping through pages with an expressionless face. Finally, he looked up, his voice flat like a weather report. This idea isn't feasible. Lana blinked, thinking she'd misheard. Not feasible? What did you just say? Anthony set the plan on the table, tapping his finger lightly on the paper. I've reviewed it. You rely too much on emotion. That 65% figure doesn't prove they'll buy from a street ad. Filming outdoors is high risk. Weather, noise, uncontrollable crowds. Do you have a backup plan? Lana felt heat rush to her face. She took a deep breath, trying to keep her voice steady. This isn't emotion, it's creativity. You don't understand young users. They're sick of formulaic stuff. If we do an in-studio ad like always, they'll scroll past it in 3 seconds. And if your outdoor video fails, we'll lose millions because of your creativity, Anthony replied, his tone frigid. I've revised the plan. We'll shoot in a studio, focus on the product, and add CGI effects for a breakthrough. It's controllable and efficient. Lana stared at him, her mouth dropping open as if she wanted to scream. Revised? You revised my entire idea without even asking me? Anthony shrugged as if it were obvious. I'm the boss. I decide what's best for the company. The meeting room fell silent, all eyes on the two of them. Lana couldn't hold back anymore. She shot to her feet, pointing straight at Anthony. You're not a boss, you're a soulless machine. You don't understand customers, you don't understand creativity, and you definitely don't understand teamwork. If you think CGI is a breakthrough, sorry, but you're living in the last century. Anthony raised an eyebrow, showing a hint of reaction for the first time in the meeting. Are you done? Because if you are, sit down. I don't have time to argue with someone who can't control their emotions. Emotions are what make ads successful, not your dry numbers, Lana roared, slamming her hand on the table. Her coffee cup wobbled, spilling a little, but she didn't care anymore. The meeting room now felt like a battlefield, with colleagues watching in a mix of fear and fascination as the two clashed. Just then, Eleanor Grayson, the chairwoman of the board, spoke up, her voice calm but with a hidden smile. Enough, you two. I think you both have valid points. Anthony wants efficiency, Lana wants creativity. Why not combine the two? This project is important, and I want you both to work together to perfect it. Lana and Anthony said in unison, What? They glared at each other, sparks flying from their eyes, but Mrs. Grayson didn't let them protest. It's settled. The deadline is 2 weeks. I expect good results from both of you. The meeting ended in awkward silence. Lana stormed out, clutching her laptop like she wanted to crush it. She swore she wouldn't let Anthony win again. As for Anthony, he stayed behind, looking at the plan covered in his edits, letting out a soft sigh. "She's a real storm," he muttered, but the corner of his mouth twitched upward. That night, an email from Anthony popped up in Lana's inbox. Subject: professional feedback on the campaign plan. The content was a long list of points he deemed unrealistic in her idea, along with suggestions about using CGI and optimizing the budget. Every word was dry and rigid, classic Anthony Black. Lana read it, so furious she wanted to smash her screen. She clicked reply, but instead of writing a serious response, she opened Google and found a meme. An image of an old man at an ancient computer with the caption, "When your boss thinks CGI is the peak of creativity." She attached the meme, added the line, "Thanks for the feedback, boss. Hope you like this gift," and hit send. 10 minutes later, her phone lit up with Anthony's reply. No words, no sentences, just an attachment. A screenshot of her email with a scribbled red handwritten note. "Very professional, Ms. Tran." Lana burst out laughing, but quickly shut off her phone, telling herself, "This guy isn't worth my energy." But deep inside, a strange feeling began to spark, the sense that this battle wouldn't end as easily as she thought. Chapter 4. Working Together, Sparks Fly Every Day. After Mrs. Eleanor Grayson's decision, Lana and Anthony were officially tied to each other for the fashion project. Lana was still fuming that Anthony had dared to overhaul her ideas, while Anthony clearly wasn't thrilled about working with someone he considered undisciplined. But they had no choice. The 2-week deadline loomed like a blade at their throats, forcing them to sit down together after hours and even plan a business trip to scout filming locations. On their first day working together, Lana arrived at Anthony's office with a stack of documents and a forced smile. "I hope you're not planning to revise everything again," she said, her tone half joking, half serious. Anthony sat behind his desk, not looking up from his laptop screen. "If you'd done it right the first time, I wouldn't need to revise anything." Lana bit her lip, slamming the stack of documents onto the table. "I did it right my way. You're the one who refuses to understand the idea." Anthony finally looked up, his gaze sharp and cold. "Ideas without data to back them up are just daydreams. We need a campaign name, a color palette, and a concrete plan. Let's get started." They dove into the work, but the atmosphere was like a boxing match. Lana suggested a campaign name, Urban Luxe, luxurious yet approachable. Anthony dismissed it outright. "Sounds like a discount store name. I want something stronger, like Elevate." Lana shot back. "Elevate sounds like an elevator ad. Urban Luxe fits the trend." The argument dragged on to the color palette. Lana picked bold red and metallic gold for a striking effect. Anthony shook his head. "Too flashy. Navy blue and silver would be more refined." Lana snapped. "Refined to the point of boring, you mean? Young customers don't want to fall asleep watching an ad." The peak came at lunchtime. Lana suggested hitting a nearby taco place because it was tasty and quick. Anthony wrinkled his nose. "I don't eat greasy food. There's an Italian restaurant 2 blocks away. Cleaner." Lana rolled her eyes. "Do you have OCD or something? Tacos aren't dirty." In the end, they didn't go anywhere, each ordering food through an app and eating in tense silence. A few days later, they had to go on a business trip to a small town to scout an outdoor filming location. Lana's original idea that Anthony had reluctantly agreed to test. The trip kicked off with an argument right in the rental car. Lana held her phone, opening the GPS. "Turn left at this intersection. I know the way," she said, her voice confident. Anthony glanced over, frowning. "My GPS says turn right. Check yours again." "Mine's right," Lana snapped. "You always think you're correct about everything." "And you always trust your gut over technology," Anthony replied, his tone sarcastic. They fought over the GPS until neither would budge, resulting in the car veering onto a bumpy dirt road full of potholes, miles away from the town center. Lana's phone died, and Anthony's GPS lost signal. Lana let out a dry laugh. "Brilliant, boss. Now what?" Anthony gripped the steering wheel tightly, clearly suppressing his irritation. "Be quiet and check the trunk for a paper map." A paper map? Lana said, incredulous. Who uses those besides my grandpa? Smart people, Anthony replied curtly, stepping out of the car to grab the map. But the trunk was empty. They sat back down, staring at each other in silence, surrounded by desolate fields and the chirping of crickets. As night fell, they found a small town nearby, but the only hotel had just one room left. Lana looked at Anthony, clutching her bag like a lifeline. I'm not sharing a room with you. Anthony sighed, rubbing his temple. You think I want to? But there's no other option. I'll sleep on the chair. The receptionist, a cheerful older woman, chimed in. Oh, you two are so cute, arguing like newlyweds. Lana blushed while Anthony silently took the key, not bothering to argue. The hotel room was small but clean, with a double bed and an old armchair. Lana quickly claimed the bed, stacking pillows into a boundary between the two sides. If you cross this line, I'll scream, she warned. Anthony looked at the pillow wall, the corner of his mouth twitching like he wanted to laugh but held back. Don't worry, I have no intention of invading your territory. He sat in the chair, opened his laptop to keep working, the screen's light casting shadows on his stern face. Lana lay on the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. She glanced at Anthony, seeing him nodding off in the chair, his neck bent awkwardly in a way that looked painfully uncomfortable. As much as she disliked him, she had to admit he seemed kind of pitiful. Hey, she called softly, that chair's too hard. Come sleep on the bed, but keep your distance. Anthony opened his eyes, looking at her in surprise. You sure? Sure, but don't get any ideas, Lana replied, turning away to hide her awkward smile. Anthony hesitated for a moment before lying down on the other side, staying a full meter away from the pillow boundary. They were silent, but the tension in the air had eased. The next morning, they woke up with a strange feeling. Lana found that Anthony had gotten up early, leaving a cup of coffee and a note that read, Thanks for the bed. Don't spill the coffee. She picked up the cup, took a sip, and smiled unconsciously. But then she quickly told herself, No, Lana, don't go soft. He's still the enemy. Meanwhile, Anthony stood on the balcony, looking down at the small town. He muttered to himself, She's such a hassle, but not as bad as I thought. Their battle wasn't over, but for the first time, both felt that the other wasn't just someone to hate. Chapter 5. A Softer Side Revealed. After the drama-filled business trip, Lana and Anthony returned to Spark Vibe with an unspoken agreement. Pause the arguing to finish the project on time. But in Lana's mind, Anthony remained an insufferable boss, so cold she wondered if he even had a heart. He's probably assembled in a lab, she muttered, tweaking the ad script while stealing glances across the room where Anthony was holding an online meeting, his face devoid of expression. That day, they had to work late to prepare for a client meeting the next morning. By nearly 9 p.m., the office was deserted, with only the lights from Lana's and Anthony's desks illuminating the space. Lana stood up to stretch, deciding to step out for coffee to stay awake. I'm heading out. Want anything? She asked, her tone reluctant. Anthony looked up, slightly surprised by the question. Black coffee, no sugar, he replied curtly, then turned back to his screen. Lana grumbled under her breath, typical bland guy, but nodded and stepped outside. It was dark, the streets quiet, with only a few cold gusts of wind blowing through. She walked, mulling over ways to tweak the color palette so Anthony couldn't nitpick, when she suddenly stopped, spotting a familiar figure under a streetlight. Anthony, yes, Anthony, was kneeling on one knee on the sidewalk, his suit jacket sleeves rolled up, gently cradling a fluffy puppy with an injured leg. Lana blinked, thinking she'd seen wrong. Gone was his usual cold demeanor. He looked strangely tender. He pulled a handkerchief from his pocket, carefully wrapping it around the puppy's leg, murmuring softly, Good boy, don't be scared. You'll be fine. The puppy whimpered, licking his hand as if in gratitude. Lana stood frozen, clutching her chest. Am I dreaming? She asked herself. Anthony Black, the man she thought only cared about data and CGI, was here on the street, tending to a stray dog. She quietly hid behind a tree, watching. Anthony stood up, glancing around as if searching for something, then carried the puppy toward a vet shop a few steps away. He knocked, spoke briefly with someone inside, left the puppy with some cash, and walked away. Lana's heart beat faster than usual. She didn't know why, but the scene stirred her curiosity. "He's not a robot," she muttered, then hurried into the coffee shop before Anthony could catch her spying. Back at the office, Lana set the black coffee in front of Anthony without a word. He looked up, nodded in thanks, but she lingered, staring at him longer than usual. Anthony frowned. "What? Is there something on my face?" "No, nothing." Lana shook her head, returning to her desk, but her mind couldn't stop replaying the moment. Maybe Anthony wasn't as rigid as she thought. Maybe he had a softer side, one he hid too well. The next morning, an unexpected crisis hit. The fashion brand's social media account leaked false info about the campaign. Someone claimed they used cheap materials, sparking a storm of criticism online. The client called Spark Vibe in a fury, demanding an immediate explanation. Anthony quickly gathered the team, his voice tense but composed. "We need a press release and a response strategy within 3 hours. Anyone have ideas?" Colleagues hesitated, but Lana stood up, phone in hand. "I'll handle it. I've dealt with something like this at my old job." Without waiting for Anthony's approval, she sprang into action, contacting the client's PR team, drafting a concise yet heartfelt social media post, and suggesting a behind-the-scenes video to prove the product's quality. She worked like a whirlwind, typing furiously while directing the design team to edit the footage. Anthony stood aside, watching without interrupting, a rare move for him. In under 3 hours, Lana's post was approved, the video went live, and the hashtag number "Truth Behind the Threads" spread like wildfire, turning the tide. The client called back, profusely grateful, while colleagues clapped in admiration. When the office quieted down, Anthony approached Lana's desk, hands in his pockets. "Good job," he said, his tone no longer cold. "You're sharper than I thought." Lana looked up, a bit startled. "Thanks. I just did what needed doing." But she couldn't help a small smile. It was the first time Anthony had praised her without a jab. Anthony nodded, about to walk away, but paused. "The coffee this morning, did you make it?" "No, just bought it," Lana replied, frowning. "Why?" "Nothing. It just tasted better than usual," he said, then walked off, leaving Lana with an odd feeling. He'd complimented her twice, in his very Anthony way. That night, they stayed late again to finalize the ad script. The tension between them had eased. Lana glanced at Anthony, seeing him type with focus, his eyes no longer sharp and cold. She thought of the puppy, of how gentle he'd been, and wondered, who is he really? Meanwhile, Anthony snuck a glance at Lana. He couldn't deny her talent today, how she'd handled the crisis swiftly, confidently, without hesitation. He'd always seen her as overly emotional, but now he realized she might be more reliable than he'd assumed. His gaze lingered on her longer than usual, until Lana turned, catching him looking. "What?" she asked, her tone slightly wary. Anthony flinched, turning back to his screen. "Nothing. Just checking if you're dozing off." Lana smirked. "I'm not you," nodding off in a chair. But her smile wasn't mocking anymore. It carried a hint of warmth. Anthony didn't reply, but the corner of his mouth twitched upward. For the first time, they looked at each other without the urge to spar. A strange feeling crept between them, not quite friendliness, but certainly no longer hostility. Chapter 6. Growing Closer. The fashion project finally entered its main filming phase, and Mrs. Eleanor Grayson requested the entire Spark Vibe team to fly to Paris to execute the campaign on a quaint, historic street. A blend of Lana's street-style idea and Anthony's refined approach. The business trip would last a week, and Lana couldn't help but feel excited at the thought of living in the fashion capital. But she overlooked one detail. She'd be staying with the team, and worse, with Anthony. The first day in Paris was a disaster. The plane landed late, and when the team reached the baggage claim, Lana discovered her suitcase was missing. "No way!" she yelled, racing around the airport like a whirlwind. Anthony stood off to the side, holding his own suitcase, watching her with a mix of boredom and amusement. "You lost your stuff again?" he asked, his tone flat. Lana spun around, panting. Don't just stand there mocking me. My suitcase has all my personal stuff, my camera, and the backup color palette. Anthony shrugged. I told you to double-check before boarding. Lana started to argue, but an airport staff member interrupted, informing her that her suitcase had been mistakenly sent to London and would take 2 days to arrive. She clutched her head, groaning, I knew it. Nothing ever goes smoothly with you around. Anthony didn't respond, silently dragging his suitcase to the car, but Lana noticed him making a call, saying something about sending more stuff urgently. She frowned but didn't ask further. The Paris hotel was smaller than they'd expected, and the team had to share rooms to save costs. Lana bunked with a female colleague, while Anthony stayed in the room across the hall with 2 other team members. The air between them remained tense, at least on the surface. The first day of filming went smoothly, but by the 3rd day, Anthony showed odd signs. He coughed through the meeting, his face pale, yet he kept working as if nothing was wrong. Lana glanced over, annoyed. What's wrong with you? Don't tell me you're sick. I don't want the whole team catching it. I'm fine, Anthony replied, his voice hoarse, then turned back to the script. But that evening, as the team ate dinner at a small bistro, Anthony suddenly slumped onto the table, his forehead burning hot. Lana panicked, forgetting their usual bickering. You've got a fever! Why didn't you say something sooner? She called the hotel staff for medicine and helped colleagues carry Anthony back to his room. Anthony lay on the bed, eyes closed, breathing heavily. A colleague offered to stay and help, but Lana waved them off. I'll do it. I've taken care of my mom when she had fevers. I know how. She didn't know why she volunteered, but seeing Anthony so weak, she couldn't just walk away. All night, Lana stayed by Anthony's side, changing the damp cloth on his forehead, forcing him to drink water and take medicine. He was delirious, mumbling incoherently at times. Near dawn, he opened his eyes, finding Lana dozing in the chair beside him, still holding the cloth. Why are you here? He asked, his voice feeble. Lana jolted awake, yawning widely. To make sure you don't die while I'm asleep, you owe me a thank you. Anthony looked at her, for once not inclined to argue. Thank you, he said softly, closing his eyes again, but the corner of his mouth curved up slightly. The next day, Anthony recovered enough to work, though still a bit weary. Lana, despite her lack of sleep, buzzed with energy, darting between the film set and the hotel. She didn't notice Anthony frequently glancing her way, his gaze no longer sharp and cold. That night, the team held a casual snack session on the hotel balcony to unwind. Lana held a glass of wine, sitting next to Anthony, for the first time not because she had to. The mood was light, laughter echoing from colleagues, and for once they didn't argue. You're really good at taking care of sick people, Anthony said suddenly, breaking the silence between them. Your family must be proud. Lana smiled faintly. Just my mom. She gets sick a lot, so I'm used to it. What about you? What's your family like? Anthony paused, his gaze distant. Just my dad. My mom passed away early. My dad's an engineer. He taught me everything has to be precise. No room for mistakes. Lana frowned. So that's why you're so meticulous? Anthony nodded, his voice lowering. Not just that. I had a close colleague at my old company. We built a big project together, but he betrayed me, sold the idea to a rival, and blamed me when it failed. Since then, I learned not to trust anyone, not to let anyone ruin my work. Lana was stunned. She hadn't expected Anthony to open up like this. So you control everything to avoid getting hurt again? Anthony didn't answer, just took a sip of wine, but his eyes said it all. Lana felt a part of her soften. I get it, but not everyone's like that, you know? You're different? Anthony turned, looking straight at her. Lana smiled, shrugging. I'm a mess, but I don't betray people. Try trusting me and see. Anthony said nothing, but for the first time he smiled. A real smile, not a smirk. Lana laughed too, and they sat there, chatting about little things, hobbies, favorite movies, even how Lana once nearly burned down the kitchen while cooking. Her laughter rang out, and Anthony, though he wouldn't admit it, felt his heart lighten. On their last day in Paris, they strolled through a small street before heading home. Lana bought a crepe, took a bite, and handed it to Anthony. "Try it. Don't you dare say I don't eat sugary stuff." Anthony hesitated but took it, nibbling a small piece. "Not bad," he said, and Lana beamed. They walked side by side, no arguing, just casual remarks and occasional glances that carried a new warmth. On the flight back, Lana dozed off, her head resting on Anthony's shoulder without realizing it. He looked down, about to nudge her off, but stopped. "Just this once," he muttered, his hand gently resting on hers, careful not to wake her. Chapter 7. The First Unexpected Kiss. The Paris business trip was over, but the fashion project still had a pile of post-production work to tackle. Lana and Anthony returned to Spark Vibe, diving into tense, relentless days to perfect the ad video before presenting it to Mrs. Grayson. That day, they stayed at the office late into the night, editing every frame, debating every subtitle line. By 11 p.m., Lana slumped onto the desk, groaning, "I'm about to die from exhaustion. Somebody save me." Anthony glanced over, his fingers still typing. "If you want to rest, go ahead. I can handle it alone." Lana lifted her head, glaring. "You think I'd give up that easily? I just need a little boost." She stood, pulling 2 cans of beer from the mini fridge in the office corner, leftovers from a team party the previous week. "Here, drink this. Working this hard without relaxing is insane." Anthony frowned, clearly unenthused. "I don't drink beer while working." "Well, we're not working now. This is break time," Lana replied, setting a can in front of him before cracking open her own and taking a sip. "Relax a little, boss. Aren't you tired?" Anthony eyed the can, then looked at Lana, sitting cross-legged on her chair, hair a mess, but eyes blazing with adrenaline. He sighed, finally picking up the can and popping it open. "Just this once," he said, taking a small sip, then wincing. "Too bitter." Lana burst out laughing. "Bitter but good. You really don't know how to enjoy anything." Her laughter echoed through the quiet space, and for the first time, Anthony didn't find it annoying. He took another sip, then spoke up unexpectedly. "You know, in college I tried brewing my own beer once. Total disaster. My friend said it tasted like dishwater." Lana's jaw dropped, then she clutched her stomach, laughing. "Dishwater? Anthony Black actually failed at something? I thought you were born perfect." Anthony gave a rare, soft smile. "I'm not perfect. I just don't like people seeing me fail." The atmosphere between them began to shift. A second can was opened, and they started talking more freely. Lana recounted how she nearly burned down the kitchen trying to cook dinner for her mom, while Anthony admitted he'd once been kicked out of an art class for drawing a cat that looked like a watermelon. Lana laughed until tears streamed down her face, and Anthony, though trying to stay serious, couldn't hide the spark of amusement in his eyes. They drifted closer without realizing it, empty beer cans rolling on the floor. The office's dim lights cast a soft glow on Lana's face, highlighting her radiant smile. Anthony watched her, his gaze gentler than ever. "You laugh a lot," he said, his voice low and warm. "I'm not used to that." Lana tilted her head, still smiling. "Because you're always so serious. Try laughing more. It'd make you less intimidating." "I'm intimidating?" Anthony asked, his tone slightly surprised. "Yeah, very," Lana replied, but then softened her voice. "But not so much now. I think you're kind of likable, in a weird way." Anthony went quiet, staring into her eyes. The space between them shrank to mere centimeters. The room was still, filled only with their gentle breathing. Then, as if swept up by an uncontrollable emotion, Anthony leaned down, pressing a soft kiss to Lana's lips. It wasn't a bold or passionate kiss, but tender, almost hesitant, as if he feared breaking something fragile. Lana froze, eyes wide. The kiss lasted only a few seconds, but it was enough to send her heart racing. Anthony pulled back, his face faintly flushed, his eyes showing a rare flicker of confusion. I'm sorry," he said, his voice hoarse. "I don't know what I just did." Lana didn't answer. She shot to her feet, hands covering her face, her mind spinning. I need air," she stammered, then bolted out of the office, leaving Anthony sitting there, still gripping the empty beer can. Lana rushed to the balcony, the cold wind snapping her back to clarity. She clutched her chest, trying to steady her breathing. What just happened? She asked herself, her voice trembling. Anthony's kiss, gentle, sudden yet full of feeling, left her reeling. She hated him, didn't she? He was the insufferable boss, always nitpicking, always driving her crazy. So why was her heart pounding like this? Why did she feel warmth instead of anger? She leaned against the railing, staring down at the empty streets. Anthony's image flashed in her mind, his tender gaze as he kissed her, his hesitant voice when he apologized. "I'm losing it," she muttered. "I can't like him. No way." But she couldn't deny the feeling. The kiss wasn't a random mistake. It was something deeper, something they'd both unwittingly revealed in an unguarded moment. Lana covered her face, utterly bewildered. She didn't know how to face Anthony anymore. Back in the office, Anthony sat still, his hand clenching the can until it crumpled. He berated himself. "What did I just do?" he mumbled. He wasn't impulsive, never had been. But Lana's smile, her voice, the way she made him laugh, they'd shattered the wall he'd built over years. He wanted to run after her, explain, but his feet felt nailed to the floor. He was afraid she'd hate him more, afraid he'd just ruined something fragile between them. Both were confused, both rattled, but deep inside a small seed had been planted, though neither dared to admit it yet. Chapter 8. Taking a Step Back. After that kiss the previous night, Lana felt like her entire world had turned upside down. She couldn't sleep, tossing and turning all night, her mind spinning with questions. What was Anthony thinking when he kissed me? Was he serious, or was it just a spur-of-the-moment thing? The next morning, she arrived at the office with dark circles under her eyes, resolved to do one thing: avoid Anthony at all costs. Lana got there earlier than usual, hunching over her corner desk, burying herself in her laptop as if work were her lifeline. When Anthony walked in, she pretended to be busy, eyes glued to the screen, though her hands trembled on the keyboard. Anthony, on the other hand, was his usual self, crisp black suit, voice steady as he assigned tasks to the team. He didn't look at Lana longer than necessary or mention anything about the night before, as if the kiss had never happened. "We need to finalize the edit today," he said, his tone cold. "Lana, check the subtitles again. I don't want any mistakes." He turned away without waiting for her reply. Lana nodded stiffly, but inside she was burning. "No mistakes? Then why did you kiss me and act like it was nothing?" she thought, her fingers hitting the keys so hard the colleague next to her flinched. She told herself to focus on work, but every time Anthony's voice drifted from afar, her heart raced uncomfortably. The day passed in awkward silence. Lana dodged every chance to face Anthony. She stayed at her desk during lunch instead of going to the cafeteria, and in team meetings, she sat as far from him as possible. Anthony remained calm, communicating with her through emails instead of in person, his tone as dry as it was the first day they met. It only made Lana more restless. She began to think the kiss was just a game to him, a fleeting impulse he didn't care about. A sense of hurt crept into her, though she tried to deny it. By the end of the day, when the team had left, Lana stayed behind to finish her tasks. She stared at the screen, but her eyes blurred from exhaustion and sadness. "I'm such an idiot," she muttered. "I thought he'd changed, thought he cared about me. Turns out I was just fooling myself." She shut off her computer, cradling her face, trying not to let the tears fall. Meanwhile, Anthony wasn't as composed as Lana assumed. He sat in his private office, peering through the glass at her desk, his hand gripping the pen so tightly that ink leaked onto the paper. The kiss last night wasn't impulsive. It was something he'd held back for too long, erupting when he lost control. But this morning, seeing Lana avoid him, he told himself to step back. She doesn't want this, he thought. I can't let her get hurt. Can't repeat the mistakes of the past. Memories of his past resurfaced. The time he'd opened up to a trusted colleague, only to be betrayed. He feared that if he went further with Lana, he'd fail again, hurting someone he was starting to care about. So he chose distance, not looking at her, not saying anything unnecessary, acting like the rigid boss she once despised. But every time he saw Lana lower her head or avoid his gaze, his chest ached. He wanted to run to her, explain, but reason held him back. Anthony stood, stepping onto the office balcony to breathe. He looked down at the streets, muttering, "What should I do? Keep her away from me, or—" He didn't dare finish the sentence, but the image of Lana's radiant smile from the beer night kept flashing in his mind, making it impossible to stay calm. That evening, Lana decided to go out to clear her head. She stopped by a small bar near the office, ordered a cocktail, and sat quietly in a corner. But the more she drank, the more she thought of Anthony, his eyes when he kissed her, his voice when he apologized. If he wasn't serious, why did he look at me like that? She asked herself, then answered, "I must have imagined it. He's Anthony Black, cold and emotionless." Just then, she jolted when Anthony walked into the bar. Not to find her, but by chance after work. He wore a simple shirt, holding a glass of whiskey, sitting a few tables away without noticing her. Lana quickly turned away, her heart pounding. She wanted to leave, but her feet felt rooted to the spot. Anthony sat there, his gaze distant. He took a sip of whiskey, muttering to himself, "I'm really no good at this." He thought of Lana, how she'd cared for him when he was sick, how she'd laughed at his old stories. He wanted to tell her the kiss wasn't a joke, that he feared losing her if he went too far. But he didn't know where to start. From her hidden corner, Lana watched him out of the corner of her eye. She saw him rub his forehead, his demeanor no longer cold as usual. A fleeting softness made her want to approach, but she shook her head. "No, Lana, don't hurt yourself more." She stood, slipping out of the bar before Anthony could spot her. On her way home, Lana walked in the cold wind, her heart heavy. She was sad, thinking Anthony didn't care. But deep down, she still hoped he felt something real. Meanwhile, as Anthony left the bar, he caught a glimpse of Lana's figure disappearing around a street corner. He stopped, his hand tightening on the glass, his mind torn. "What should I do?" he asked himself again, but there was no answer. Both stepped back, but the distance didn't make them forget. It only made them realize something was growing in their hearts. Chapter 9. The Incident and the Truth. The fashion project was finally complete, and the ad video was sent to Mrs. Grayson, receiving positive feedback. Lana breathed a sigh of relief, thinking she could take a break after the stressful days. But she didn't expect another storm was brewing, not from work, but from the whispers within Spark Vibe itself. That morning, Lana walked into the office in a light mood, holding her favorite coffee cup. But she quickly noticed the strange atmosphere. Colleagues glanced at her and looked away. Some whispered among themselves, others snickered. She frowned, sat at her desk, and was about to ask when a close colleague, Sarah, pulled her to a secluded corner. "Lana, have you heard the rumor?" Sarah whispered, her eyes darting nervously. "What rumor?" Lana asked, her voice skeptical. Sarah sighed, pulling out her phone and opening an internal company chat group. Lana skimmed it, and her face paled. Someone had spread a rumor that she'd been promoted to creative team lead, not because of her talent, but because she leaned on Anthony. The rumor even added a stinging detail. They got close during the Paris trip. Who didn't see her clinging to the boss? Lana felt heat rush to her face, her hands trembling as she held the phone. "Who dares say this?" she growled. "I worked myself to exhaustion on this project, not to be slandered like this." Sarah patted her shoulder, comforting her. "I know you're not that kind of person, but the rumor's spreading fast. Everyone's talking about it now." Lana returned to her desk, trying to stay calm, but all morning she felt the piercing stares. One colleague brazenly spoke loudly as she passed by. "Some people just need to smile at the boss and they're set. No effort required like the rest of us." Lana clenched her fists, wanting to retort, but she held back, not wanting to escalate things. What hurt her most was Anthony. He sat in the meeting room all morning, silent, doing nothing to quash the rumor. Lana watched him through the glass, her heart sinking. "You know about this and say nothing?" she thought. "You're letting me face it alone just because you don't want to get involved?" The kiss that night, the close moments in Paris, all of it now felt like a joke in her eyes. She turned away, eyes stinging, telling herself, "I was such a fool to trust him." By noon, the rumor had spread further, even popping up on an anonymous internal forum. Lana sat in the cafeteria, hearing the murmurs around her. "She's good, all right. Good at sucking up to the boss," a voice rang out from a nearby table. Lana shot to her feet, abandoning her untouched tray, and ran to the bathroom. She locked the door, sank to the floor, and hugged her face. "I don't deserve this," she muttered, tears rolling down. She was hurt not just by the rumor, but by Anthony, the man she'd thought would protect her, staying silent. Meanwhile, Anthony wasn't as indifferent as Lana assumed. He'd known about the rumor since morning when an assistant privately reported it to him. He hadn't spoken up right away because he wanted to trace its source, not wanting a rash move to further damage Lana's reputation. But when he saw her leave the cafeteria looking devastated, he realized he'd been wrong. "I can't let her suffer anymore," he told himself, his hand gripping the table's edge. That afternoon, Anthony abruptly called the entire company to the large meeting room. Lana joined reluctantly, sitting in the back corner, her eyes red but her face composed. Anthony stepped up, his gaze sweeping the room, his voice low and sharper than ever. "I've heard there's a rumor in the company," he began, cutting straight to the point, "about Lana Tron and her position. I want to set the record straight once and for all." The room fell deathly silent. Lana looked up, surprised but still wary. Anthony continued, "Lana was promoted because of her ability, not because of any connection to me or anyone else. She handled a PR crisis in 3 hours, something none of you could do. She worked herself to the bone in Paris, and without her, this project would have failed. Anyone who dares say she leaned on someone should look at their own contributions." He paused, staring directly at the crowd. "I won't tolerate slander in this company. If I hear it again, that person will leave Spark Vibe immediately, understood?" No one dared speak. Anthony turned to Lana, his gaze softening. "Ms. Tran, I'm sorry for not speaking up sooner. You deserve respect." He nodded to her, then stepped off the podium, leaving the room stunned. Lana sat there, her heart pounding. Anthony's words were like a gust of wind clearing the dark clouds from her mind. She was moved, tears welling up again, but this time from relief and gratitude. Colleagues began looking at her differently. Some apologized, some clapped in support, but Lana didn't care about them. She only looked at Anthony, standing in the room's corner, his back turned as if he didn't want her to see his face. That night, Lana stayed late at the office, sitting at her empty desk. She thought about Anthony's words, how he'd stood up for her. She knew he wasn't good at showing emotion, but his actions today proved he cared, not just as a boss, but more. Still, she was afraid. The kiss, the rumor, all of it left her confused. Should I trust him again? She wondered, doodling absent-mindedly on paper. Anthony in his private office was restless too. He blamed himself for letting Lana hurt so long before acting. He wanted to approach her, tell her he hadn't stayed silent out of apathy, but because he feared making another mistake. But he didn't dare. He looked through the glass, seeing Lana sitting there, and his heart grew heavy. Both were touched. Both wanted to move forward. But the wounds in Lana's heart and Anthony's caution held them back. The distance remained, but this time, it wasn't as cold as before. Chapter 10. An Apology and a Confession. After the meeting that crushed the rumors, Lana returned to work with an outward calm, but inside she was a mess. Anthony's words in the meeting room echoed in her mind. He'd defended her, acknowledged her, but she didn't know what that meant to him beyond being her boss. She wanted to ask, to understand, but every time she saw him through the glass of his office, she hesitated. "I can't keep going in circles like this," she told herself, resolving to maintain some distance for a while longer. Anthony, on the other hand, couldn't bear the silence anymore. He realized that keeping his distance didn't protect Lana. It only hurt them both. He'd been wrong not to speak up sooner about the rumors, wrong to leave her alone to face the unexpected kiss that night. He watched her from afar, sitting at her desk, biting her lip as she edited documents, and his heart urged him, "I have to do something right now." That evening, when the office had emptied out, Anthony stood at the door of the break room where Lana was making coffee. He took a deep breath and knocked lightly. Lana turned, startled to see him. "Anthony, you..." Need something? She asked, her voice faltering. I need to talk to you, Anthony replied, stepping inside and closing the door. He stood a few steps away, hands in his pockets as if to suppress his tension. This can't wait any longer. Lana gripped her coffee mug tightly, her heart racing. If it's about work, you can just email. It's not about work, Anthony interrupted, his voice low but firm. It's about us. Lana froze, setting the mug on the table, her eyes watching him warily. Us? What do you mean? Anthony stepped closer, his gaze no longer cold but filled with emotion. Lana, I'm sorry. From the first time I met you, that night you were drunk and pointed a fruit knife at me, I knew you were different. You're chaotic, messy, but so real I couldn't ignore it. I tried to keep my distance because I was afraid. Afraid I didn't deserve you. Afraid I'd hurt you like others have hurt me. Lana blinked, unable to believe what she was hearing. You? What are you saying? You were afraid of hurting me? Anthony nodded, his voice growing hoarse. I'm not good at showing emotions. I grew up thinking everything had to be perfect, no mistakes allowed. But with you, I couldn't control myself. That kiss the other night, it wasn't impulsive. I'd wanted to do it for a long time, but I was scared you'd hate me, scared you'd think I wasn't serious. Lana stood still, tears welling up. She remembered all the times he'd been silent, all the times he'd stayed cold, and now she understood. It wasn't indifference, but his inner struggle. Then why didn't you say something sooner? She asked, her voice trembling. You let me think you didn't care. Let me torture myself. I know I was wrong, Anthony replied, stepping closer, his hand trembling as it touched her shoulder. I didn't speak up when the rumors spread because I wanted to handle it cleanly. Didn't want to drag you into more trouble, but I was wrong. I should have stood by you from the start. Lana, I like you. I have for a long time. Anthony's confession hit Lana like a wave. She looked at him, seeing his eyes red, seeing him, the man always so rigid, now trembling before her. Her tears spilled over, unstoppable. You're such an idiot, Anthony Black, she said, her voice choked. You made me sad, made me think you didn't need me. But I like you too. I don't even know when it started. Anthony froze, then pulled her into his arms, holding her tight as if afraid she'd vanish. I'm sorry, he whispered into her hair. I don't want to lose you. Lana hugged him back, her tears soaking his shirt. She cried, but not from sadness, from relief, from joy. I don't want to lose you either, she said, her voice mixed with sobs. But if you make me sad again, I'll really grab that fruit knife. Anthony laughed, the first time she'd heard him laugh so loudly. He let her go, wiping the tears from her cheeks, his eyes gentle. I promise, no more fruit knives. Lana laughed too, though her eyes were still wet. They stood there gazing at each other, and in that moment, every distance, every misunderstanding melted away. She stood on her toes, pressing a light kiss to his lips. This time she took the lead. Anthony responded, tender but deep, as if they were saying, I love you, without words. They sat on the break room sofa, hands intertwined, talking as if no wall had ever stood between them. Lana recounted how rattled she'd been after the first kiss, while Anthony admitted he'd lost sleep for nights thinking about her. I even thought you'd quit after the rumor mess, he said, his voice tinged with worry. Me quit? Then who'd argue with you? Lana replied, winking. You need me to keep your life from getting boring. Anthony smiled, pulling her closer. You're right, I need you. They sat there joking, crying a little, then laughing again, like two kids who just found each other after days of being lost. They admitted that love had crept in at the most unexpected times. Through their fights, the lost road trip, the sudden kiss in the night. It wasn't loud or perfect, but it was real. When they left the office, it was late. Anthony held Lana's hand, stepping out into the cold streets. What now? She asked, looking up at him. Now we start over, he replied, squeezing her hand. But this time, no hiding. Lana smiled brightly, resting her head on his shoulder. Fine, boss, but you're buying me coffee tomorrow morning. Anthony nodded, his eyes full of love. Black, no sugar for me. You can have whatever you want. They walked off hand in hand, leaving behind their days as rivals and stepping into a new chapter, where they could love without fear. Chapter 11. The Official Frenemy Couple. After that fateful night in the break room, Lana and Anthony no longer hid their feelings. They officially started dating, but both agreed to keep it under wraps at the company for a while. Not out of shame, but because they weren't ready to face curious stares. However, at Spark Vibe, where rumors spread faster than Wi-Fi, their secret didn't last long. That morning, Lana arrived at the office with a radiant smile, carrying 2 coffee cups, one for her, one for Anthony. She set the cup in front of him with a wink, whispering, "Black, no sugar, just your style, boss." Anthony smiled, replying softly, "Thanks, Ms. Tran." But their gazes lingered too long, too sweetly, and Sarah, who sat nearby, instantly picked up on something unusual. "Wait a sec," Sarah said, pointing at them. "You two, there's something going on, right?" Lana flinched, nearly spilling her coffee, while Anthony coughed, pretending to focus on his laptop. But Sarah wouldn't let it go. She shouted, "I knew it! They're dating!" The office went silent for 3 seconds, then erupted. "What? No way! Frenemies turned lovers?" Colleagues crowded around, eyes wide, staring at Lana and Anthony as if they'd stepped out of a rom-com. Lana blushed, stammering, "Everyone, calm down, it's not a big deal." But Anthony, surprisingly composed, stood up and placed a hand on her shoulder. "That's right," he said, his voice steady. "We're dating. Any problem with that?" He scanned the room, his look both serious and challenging, silencing the crowd. Then he turned to Lana, smiling. "She's my girlfriend. Done." The office exploded again, this time with applause and whistles. Sarah hugged Lana tightly, yelling, "I knew it! You two were perfect for each other since that first argument." Lana gave an awkward laugh while Anthony just shook his head, though the corner of his mouth betrayed his joy. From then on, Lana and Anthony became an official couple, and incredibly in sync. At work, they were a perfect match. Lana conjured bold, creative ideas, while Anthony ensured everything was practical and effective. Once, while preparing a new campaign, Lana suggested using neon lighting as the centerpiece. Anthony frowned. "Neon? Sounds like a bar sign." Lana fired back, "That's the charm. Don't you see retros trending?" They bickered back and forth, but ultimately crafted a plan blending neon with muted tones, striking yet sophisticated. The client loved it. Outside of work, they grew closer. Anthony started brewing coffee for Lana every morning, while Lana dragged him to eat tacos despite his grimace at the grease. But now their spats had a different flavor, no longer tense but affectionate. One noon, as Lana ate a sandwich, Anthony snatched the last bite, saying, "You're eating too much. Let me help." Lana roared, "You dare steal my food? Give it back." She lunged at him, and they ended up laughing hysterically, tangled in each other's arms on the office sofa. The company gradually got used to this sight. They were no longer just frenemies, but a lovingly bickering couple that everyone envied. Chapter 12. Happiness Without Reason. A year passed since Lana and Anthony officially became a couple. Spark Vibe thrived and both advanced. Lana became creative director, and Anthony took over as CEO after Mrs. Grayson retired. They moved in together into a small but cozy apartment, where every day began with their comical arguments. Every morning, Lana woke to Anthony muttering by the kitchen, "What kind of coffee is this? It's so bitter." Still groggy, Lana shot back, "Bitter's the best. You wouldn't get it." Then they'd squabble over everything, folding the blanket, picking a TV channel, who forgot to take out the trash. But they never stayed mad for more than 5 minutes. Anthony usually ended it by pulling Lana into his arms, whispering, "You're such a pain," while Lana laughed, "You're no better." Despite the bickering, they couldn't live without each other. Anthony loved watching Lana sketch on the sofa, while Lana secretly snapped photos of him dozing at his desk. Their life wasn't perfect, but it overflowed with happiness. A happiness that needed no reason, just their presence together. The night before their 1-year anniversary, the Spark Vibe team threw a party to celebrate them. Lana and Anthony drank, danced, and laughed late into the night. But like a fated loop, Lana got drunk again, this time not singing happy birthday in a bathroom, but collapsing on the hotel sofa, mumbling, "Anthony, Don't you dare steal my tacos. The next morning, Lana woke with a pounding head, wrapped in a blanket. She winced, muttering, "Did I get so drunk I passed out somewhere again?" But when she opened her eyes, she saw Anthony sitting beside her, holding a glass of water, smiling at her. Morning light streamed through the window, highlighting his warm grin. "Good morning, fiancé," he said, his tone teasing but gentle. Lana blinked, then bolted upright, alarmed. "Fiancé? What are you saying?" She looked at her hand, spotting a shimmering silver ring on her ring finger. Her mind raced, trying to recall the night before. "Wait, did you propose to me last night?" Anthony laughed loudly, pulling her close. "You were so drunk. When I brought you to the room, you kept yelling, 'Anthony Black, you have to marry me.' So I put the ring on to calm you down." He raised his hand, showing a matching ring. "But I'm serious. Do you say yes?" Lana's jaw dropped. Then she threw her arms around him, crying and laughing at once. "Yes, but if you pull this ring trick while I'm drunk again, I'll grab that fruit knife for real next time." Anthony hugged her tighter, whispering, "Knife or tacos, whatever. Just stay with me." They laughed heartily, embracing in the sunlit room. From that fateful night waking up at Anthony's house to this day, when they became each other's forever, it all felt like a funny, sweet dream. Lana leaned into him, whispering, "Good morning, fiancé." And they knew their happiness needed no reason. Just having each other was enough. Thank you for following this heartfelt story of Soul Stories channel. Share your thoughts about the story in the comments below. If you believe that true love can withstand all trials and sometimes begins in the simplest of ways, don't forget to hit the like button and share this story with your friends. To never miss out on touching and meaningful stories, subscribe to our channel and help us spread messages of love and warmth to everyone. Let's cherish the beautiful moments of life and love together.